Juanito, run. It is midday and you have important business. A school is a time for refreshments, for jokes and laughter. It is a time for quietness, for pleasant games and gentle amusements. It is a fine day and school is out. It is a day, Juanito, and you have had your lunch. But your father is hungry. It is for this reason you run, leaving behind the games, the amusements. Run now for the food your mother has prepared. Papa also may eat and rest and refresh himself. This is the story of Juanito and his father Juan Tomas Garcia, and his mother Maria, his sister Petra, his little brother Jesus, and the baby Conchita. This is the story of a part of the United States, the island of Puerto Rico. The story of the people who live on that island. This is a land where many live by farming, where a man's living comes from tobacco or coffee or citrus or sugar. Whatever the crop, the work is hard, the sun is hot. The work is hard, the land is poor. It is difficult for a man to earn a living. This is the story of how people are, how they act with each other, how they are happy and contented or miserable and afraid, the problems they have. Island, the land itself, the poverty on the land, have much to do with the nature of a man, a woman, a child. But the nature of people, the way they are, grows out of other things too. It grows out of the feelings a man has. The way he feels toward the men he works with, toward his wife, his children. This is a story of some of those feelings that men and women have. How those feelings affect the children, how they help to mold the way a child grows, the way he develops into a man, the kind of man he will be. It is also the story of children and how they feel, and what the feelings of a child may do to the man or woman that the child will grow into. A child learns to be a man by playing, by imitating in his play the things men do, the way grown-ups act. They pretend to be men because it makes them feel good inside. It makes them feel more like the grown-ups they admire most. They show off as if to say, see what a man I am going to be, and this is good. Because it is in this way that a child learns to be a man. But sometimes, without knowing any better, the child imitates only the bragging, unhappy part of a man.
Que macho.
What a man. But is that being a man, a real man? Sometimes a boy never becomes a man because he never stops pretending. But not every boy must just show off. Juanito can play at being a man by sitting quietly and enjoying the company of his father, Tomas. Every man wants his son to grow up to be a true man, and his daughter to marry a true man. But who knows if this will happen? Too often the boy will become a turkey, a peacock, a fool. And the girl who loves such a man may become a disappointed, unhappy wife. But it is possible to grow a true man, just as it is possible to grow a seedling into a fine tree. So a young boy can be cultivated and grown into a full man. A child grows much as a tree grows. Children and trees alike grow for many years, during which they gradually realize the promise of their nature. But they need to be nourished and fed, cultivated and protected in order to reach their full growth. It is true that trees may grow to their full growth, to maturity.
You guys count the starting screen as starting. I mean, it has the word starting in it, so I would assume so, right? Probably? Who's to say? Who is to say? I am to say, and the answer is yes. It counts. I think. Yeah. Yeah, it does, sure. Yep. Hello everyone. As I hastily run through things and make sure they all work right before it's supposed to start. Today's stream is a little different, so I need to get right to the point, okay? Today's stream is really different. I need to be very quick, okay? Hello, I'm Charis Euphranor. I'm the first and last philosopher VTuber, the last librarian of Alexandria, and most likely, more than likely, I'm actually not conversing with you in the current present. I am actually probably reaching you through as if this were a pre-recorded video, even though it's a live stream right now, because this is the Discord tutorial stream, which just means that I'm covering all my tracks, right? You cannot say that I have not accounted for different accessibility options. What if I'm dyslexic? What if I can't read? I'm literally covering all my grounds so as to make the process as simple as possible, okay? No way a month late. You can't rush perfection, and this isn't that, but you can't rush me either. But today's stream is going to be about the Charis Euphranor Discord channel. Now, the Charis Euphranor Discord channel has been a thing. It has existed. It has existed probably for around 3 months, 2-3 months, and it's sort of been in like an open beta phase. Like, you were welcome to join, but I didn't post the Discord link anywhere. So if you wanted to join the Discord, you'd have to come into stream live or in a comment, right, I guess, and ask me personally, hello Charis Euphranor, may I please have a Discord invite link? And I would say sure, absolutely, because the point of the Discord, or the thing in general, just the point of really everything in general, but specifically for this at the moment in time, is the point is that it's supposed to be not painless, but it's also, you're supposed to be able to get it if you want it. Okay, do you know what I mean? So we live in a fast food era of time where people just want the thing and they want it now, you know? Oh, we'll join the Discord. I'll do it. Yeah. I'll click. I'll join all the Discords. You end up engaging with nothing. You're like, oh yeah, I'll subscribe to the channel, and you know, I don't actually watch the videos, right? It happens. It happens because just because someone like waved a bell around or did like a little whistle and then like shot something at the screen that told you to do something, you were like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, I'll subscribe because the guy in the video had like a notification icon that told me to subscribe. I'll subscribe. You fucking idiot. This is a course we must correct, okay? This is what we're gonna have to correct today. And as part of that effort, as part of that war effort, Charis Euphranor has decided to make his Discord channel as inaccessible, as accessible as possible, so that there's no sense of alienation or exclusion or exclusivity. So there's no paywall behind any of this, and there never will be. But there needs to be some level of friction. There needs to be some level of friction, so you have to like exert yourself as a human being in this world we live in, and cast aside your bad instincts and bad influences, and not just do this and then pursue the next thing. Okay, there's an IQ wall. Okay, look, there's actually, okay, unironically, right, let me just, if I were to drop the character for a second and actually talk about that, as much as I tried to make it accessible, there are two things that I think are unfortunately just due to the nature of my existence going to be somewhat inaccessible. One is you have to be able to converse and dialogue and understand and comprehend in the English language, which is the medium in which I communicate in. So if you can't do that, then I can't. There's not much I can do. The second thing is you need to be like a real person with some level of cognition. Okay, if you are not real, so if you're not real, if you don't have any just sense of cognition whatsoever, like if you were like a ladybug, right, I don't know, then you would also be barred due to the nature of your being from joining the Charis Euphranor Discord. Those are the two things that unfortunately, no matter what I do, I would not be able to close this gap. And so yeah, amoebas are not allowed. I'm sorry, you're banned. You're not really banned, but like if you can get in, you can get in, right? There are natural filters set up in the way that you probably wouldn't be able to. But otherwise, if you speak English, if you can read and comprehend in the English language, and if you have like any tiny amount of cognition, almost failed due to not fully understanding a word. So let me get to that, right? So if you have any sense of cognition, you will be able to get in. Now, what happens if I fail? What happens if I don't get it? You can't fail. It is impossible to fail. It is literally impossible to fail. Because what happens if you get the answer wrong is it doesn't like kick you out of the server and ban you. That's not what happens if you get one of the questions incorrect. You just get thrown into purgatory, and then you have to get out of purgatory. That's it. And then you can just get back out of purgatory eventually, and then you could just keep doing it. Like there are infinite attempts. You can make infinite attempts. There is a video guide for the first question, and there is now this live stream for the rest of the quiz. You have no excuse. You have infinite attempts. If you do not join the server, it is one, because you don't care, or two, actually, yeah, that's the only reason why you are not in this server is because you don't care to be in it. And that's fine. You cannot care to be in it. But you cannot claim to say, oh no, it's too difficult, or no. You don't care. And that's okay to not care. No one can care about everything in this world. People seem to think that they must care about everything ever that's ever thrown at them all the time, all at once, every political issue, every point of controversy. One must have an opinion. No, you don't. You don't, and you should not be expected to care about everything. You should be vaguely aware and cognizant of most big things, yes, but you should not have to care for everything. You can't, because you are human and your finitude limits you. That is fine. Accept your finitude and reconcile that with the fact that you nonetheless live in the world anyways. Before you start with the pointers, can you give some recognition for the mods who worked on this? Why must you do me like this? Why must you do me like this while I am on my high horse? Why must you do that? Yeah, the mods were pretty good, and they really helped out sort out the server and get it, off the ground running. And if it weren't for them, then it would have just been like 2 channels and like a voice channel, and then I would have just posted everything in one thing and not organized all of it. So it's like, it's a big thank you to the people who helped contribute and create this community that which we hold proud. Whatever. Okay. Back to me, okay? Back to me and what I was talking about. I forgot what I was talking about already. Yeah, so that's the deal, okay? That's the gist of things. It's the gist of things, okay? Now, Charis Euphranor, what quiz? Questions? What are you talking about? You may be wondering to yourself. Because you may have thought, oh, joining a Discord server is, you click on the invite link and then you go and you join the Discord. That's it. Maybe you read some rules and then, that's it, right? To join the Charis Euphranor Discord, you need to go through not even a test. It's just literally like 5 minutes of reading, 10 maybe. That I will literally do for you right now today. So you have zero excuse, right? And then you just have to think for like a little bit. You just have to like think a little bit. And then you do a series of multiple choice questions. They're multiple choice. And once you get all of them right, you're in. You are in the server. That's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Now, it sounds hard because I understand that a lot of people are not used to being challenged. They're not used to having to think for themselves. They're not used to doing beyond what is just told or asked of them. And to some extent, that is true here. Or that is not subverted here, because at the end of the day, you are doing what is told and asked of you. But at the same time, it's also, I want to imagine that you are choosing to do this, because otherwise, what's the hell's the point of joining a fucking VTuber Discord server? Like, why waste your goddamn effort and life in doing something so menial and insignificant if it weren't for the fact that it, on some arbitrary but nonetheless valid reason, you find meaning and significance in it. And if you do, then you have no excuse but to apply yourself and your mind to what you are doing. And that is what the test is for. Okay? That's what that's for. If you are thinking about joining the Charis Euphranor Discord server and you are thrown off and shunned away by a like 5 minute, 10 minute like series of multiple choice questions that I am now providing a step-by-step guide for, then you just don't care enough. Like, if you are being turned away by the idea of that, then good, turn away now. That's not what we want. Have fun in purgatory, as you will. But anyways, that's what today is. So today is like I'm covering all my grounds so that no one can say, oh, you made it inaccessible, you're gatekeeping, you whatever. No, motherfucker, I'm not. I'm literally going to read all of this out for you. You cannot have any possible excuse. Anyways, okay. First things first, the Discord link is now permanently available. It is now here forever. It is here to stay. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to put it in the description. Here is the Discord link. I can put this in descriptions, right? My YouTube description allows me to do that. Okay. How do I put this on my channel socials? How do I do that? How do I change my channel description? I should be able to do that. Give me one moment. Let me just... General channel... No. Customization. Yep. Description. Channel... Oh, links. Yeah. Link title. Discord. Invite. URL required. And I put the... Yep, there we are. So now you will be able to find the Discord link in the description of this video or this stream rather, and in the channel description link, whatever thing. You'll be able to find it in both those places. I'll post it on my socials as well, whatever. Point is, it's now out there forever, and this is not something I've done before. This is now public. It is now public forever. Frankly, it's always been public, but now it's just a little bit more public than it once was. It's always been public. If you really wanted to, in the past 2 months or 3, you could have at any point either asked me for the link, or you could have just waited for someone. And there were people who, like, there were many people, not many, but there were some people who did that, who also asked me for the Discord link, and I had provided them with this Discord link. It's right there. Shouldn't you have figured this out beforehand? Well, yes. Yes, I should have. This is the same as when people look at me and they ask me if I'm a little too young to be drinking, even though I'm 60 years old, and I go like, no, I'm not. I say yes, I am. For comedy reasons, but then for legal reasons, no. I'm 60 years old actually, and I'm of age. Anyways, when has Sharon ever planned anything out ahead of time? You don't understand how much fucking effort. Whatever. I'm not taking that to heart. I don't even care. Alright, okay. Okay. Where is it? Yes, there we are. Actually. Okay, actually, before we begin, or rather, as we now begin, first things first, right? Let me just come here. Hello, I understand, yes, it's right now, it's empty, just bear with me, okay, bear with me. Now, of course, we must enter the Discord server, and we'll show you how to do it. You're freaking out? Why are you freaking out? What are you, why is it so empty? Just give me like a second, okay? Alright, I'll just put the thing on, whatever. Okay. Normally, what is required of joining a Discord server is fairly straightforward, right? At least up until the portion where you get into the server. But because I'm so accommodating and helpful and care a lot and have always thought about every possible issue that might occur, I have instead decided to defer the earlier steps to some other helpful resources. So, how to join a Discord server without invite link? No, hold on. How to make, maybe I gotta start, like, how to make a Discord account. There we go. On phone. 2025. Yeah, okay, we could do that. And it's on phone as well. Is there one for like... Oh, perfect. This is perfect. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pause this. This is perfect. Do you not just click on the link? Yeah, but like, you know, it's probably a little more difficult. No one can tell me that you can't do it. There is no... I am covering literally every step of this. The only, like, we are stopping. The stopping point for where what I'm not covering is like how to own like a computer or a device. Okay? Because that I can't help you with. But what I can help you with is this. No. We're stopping at like, we're just, here's what this tutorial is assuming. This tutorial assumes that you have a working computer. You know how to navigate a mouse, and you know how to like, you have a keyboard, you can type, you are somewhat literate. So now we're gonna have to, now we'll do this. Now we're, without email or number. Okay, I don't know how to do that actually, but, how to create a Discord account, okay, do you create the account first, or do you download first? I think you download first. So let's download Discord, okay?
In this video, I'm showing you how to download Discord on PC and go and install it as well.
Okay, I feel like that's actually going to, hold on. No. Okay. I feel like that's actually, this is gonna get me copyright struck, so instead I'm just gonna, like, I'm gonna just guess what he's saying, and then I'll hold on. Yeah, I'm just gonna guess what he's saying, and then I'm gonna like play some other music as well. Okay, yep. Does that work? Yeah. Yeah, so first you're gonna have to, what do you do? What is he saying? First you have to download, like, you have to go on the Discord website. So you go on Google and you type discord.com, and then you download like Discord over here in your browser. That's what he's saying. Yeah, no, so you can you can open it in your browser, which I'm going to show you how to do. I'm going to show you how to do it in your browser, but you can also download on Windows. So next, after you click download, you click that, and there's like an exe file that shows up at the bottom there. It takes a little bit to download. It's an exe file. It's an installer, right? So you're waiting for it to install. Once it installs, you click on the Discord. So it will open up the Discord here, right? And then it'll launch this entering your email or phone number and password. You can log in with a QR code as well. That's for the app, right? When you have where you have it. And if you probably don't have one, so what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to create an account. You're gonna have to put in an email, a username, and a password. You're gonna have your own unique set of usernames and passwords. If you know how to, I think at this point, if you can't figure that out, there's not much else I could do with you. Date of birth you can lie about. You can totally just lie. They don't actually check your date of birth. But like, don't leave for legal reasons. Don't lie about your age. But you know, like you could. They don't have anything against if you lied and you said you were born in like the 1800s or whatever. I think I don't know because I'm, you know, like that doesn't matter. Anyways, the point is like that, and that's how you install Discord, right? So the next step is like we have to actually create the Discord. We have to actually create. I can't have their audio because then like that would actually be copyrighted. But I think if we have this, then it wouldn't be too bad. Okay, so now we need to go on discord.com and then click. What do we have to do? We have to create an account here. Yeah. No, we already did that briefly. Oh, it's just the same process. You put your email here, you put your username here, you put your password here. There's your date of birth and everything. I use Gmail, but you're welcome to use any other email. I think that works. Then you have to verify that you're a person, which is what my Discord server does as well. You click that. If there's a firewall thing saying, you know, you should do whatever, you can just ignore it, I think. Or you can just proceed and click yes and say, I trust everything that Discord has to do. You click some images with some ducks on it, and then you should be in. All right, so that's how you create the account. That's how you would do like a Discord account. Okay, we're done. All right. Don't tell people to lie. Okay, don't lie. Don't lie. Don't do that. Don't do that. So now that you've created your Discord account, you should be able to finally have access to the link. I've posted it just now in my live chat. It will be in the description of the stream, so you can click on that as well. And it should work. I believe it should work forever. And it should also be on the YouTube channel description. Okay. Anyways, that's the Discord link. So you click on that once you've created your Discord or you've account and you've downloaded it, or you're accessing it through your web browser. You should be able to be in the Discord, so to speak. You'll see, here's what I mean, right? I'll show you what you'll be greeted with. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Ah! That's it. All right, that's a jump scare. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. That's the wrong tab. That's the wrong tab. That's the wrong tab. That's my main tab. That's my main tab where I created a link. That's a main tag that I've used to create a link. That's not it. That's not right. That's not right. Just ignore. I'm gonna remove that later in post. I'm removing that in post. I'm removing that in post. That is being removed in post. That is being removed in post. Okay. I got jump scared by my other account. So I have to have my other account. I don't have to have it open, but like I have it open so I can like actually see that it does. If it fucks up, I need to troubleshoot. Anyways, here we are. Here's where it actually should be. So nope. Yeah, I could show this. Yeah. I mean, you can show this too, but like, you know. So you'll see on the left side of the screen this is the web browser version. This is the web browser version. There's 30 minutes. I don't have to remove all of it. I don't have to remove all of it. I'm okay with it. What does the mobile version look like? It looks the same. Okay, just assume that it looks the same. I'm not covering that. Just assume that it looks the same, okay? If you have problems getting into the Discord on mobile and it's not covered in this guide, then feel free to ping me on the Discord server and I will help you out personally. If it's just ping me on the Discord server if you have problems getting into the Discord, okay? Anyways, so we're moving on now, right? So say you've got your account sorted. You have your username, password created. That's a very strong password. It doesn't have to be, but you know, and you are of a certain. Is there a minimum age requirement for Discord? Isn't it like 13 plus? I don't know. Whatever. Point is, you've got Discord, either the app or the web browser version of it, and you have an account to log into. Great. You click a link. You click the link on the YouTube. I'll show you how to click a link on YouTube. Let me just okay, so if you just okay, so right now, right here in in YouTube, if you go into the Charis Euphranor channel, which is where we are right now, we're in the Charis Euphranor YouTube channel, and you click on the more, like in the description here at the top, first and last philosopher VTuber, it says here, you click more, and then there's a Twitter, there's an email, and there's a Discord invite. There's a Discord invite. You can click that Discord invite. That's the link. All right, it's been posted everywhere. You click that, and then you should then be transported to here. Okay. Alexandria was you. No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not me. I'm Charis Euphranor, the first and last philosopher VTuber. It just looks the same but smaller. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for backing me up on that. It's the same. It's the same. Okay. So now that you're on the Discord, now that you are on the Discord channel, you should be able to read this bit, the doorsteps. But you may notice on the left side, it's awfully empty, isn't it? Because usually Discord servers are a bit more packed. There's like more things on it you might be able to like observe, right? You can't right now, but that's okay. That's fine. That just means that you're not in fully. You have not obtained verified visitor euphanoia status, and because you are at the doorsteps of the Library of Alexandria, you are not in the Library of Alexandria. And hey, doorsteps are pretty cool too, but there's not a lot going on. So now I'm gonna walk you through this, okay? Let me just get some different music. Okay. Now let's say you have various accessibility arrangements that you are complaining to me about. Okay, I'll read it to you. I will read the whole thing to you, okay? So as you can see, right on the left, that's the server. You click on that to server icon to be in the Library of Alexandria Discord server. And then you click on, there's only one thing. You don't really have to click on it. It's one channel. It's in the doorsteps of Alexandria. It's the doorsteps, okay? And here it should say, as I have centered it, welcome to the Library of Alexandria. This is the beginning of the server. Except not really, but you know, for you it is. Anyways. You arrive at the doorsteps of the library. Following a link, you expected a friendly greeting. A familiar face, maybe, a warming, comforting presence. As you briefly fantasize about your unrealistic expectations of a Philosopher VTuber's Discord channel, the intrusive flaps of a messy feathered creature break your focus. Before you even get the chance to reclaim those delusions of an easy and straightforward Discord invite, a sharp voice pierces through the cold, dry air. From the mouth of an unassuming and unremarkable crow, you hear the following words. Hello, I am Charis Euphranor. Well, that's my name, but the bird's name is Parrot. He's who you're hearing this message from. When I say I am referring to me, Charis Euphranor, the first and last philosopher VTuber, the last librarian of Alexandria, not the winged creature before you, speaking these words. His name is Parrot, and he has no capacity for thought. So don't bother asking him anything. Parrot, edit that last bit out of the message, understood? Affirmative. Anyway, this is a pre-recorded message that plays at the doorsteps of the library. I assume you're trying to enter. See, I could just open the doors and let you in, but the twisting halls and repeating corridors of the Library of Alexandria would prove difficult to navigate to the untrained mind. You get lost, confused, frustrated, and I can't have that on my conscience. More importantly, I really can't have that on my record. So, consider this formal training, the type that, once completed, would allow me to waive any and all responsibility for any psychic injuries that may occur to unsupervised visitors such as yourself. Regrettably, this may involve the dreadful, anxiety-inducing, extremely painful experience of basic reasoning. If you feel as though you'll need a TikTok or IG Reel break, please rest assured that I am constantly judging your quality of character incredibly harshly. If you are averse to reading and thinking, now's a good time to turn back. This test is multiple choice, you have unlimited attempts, and you are provided with a guide for the first question. No prerequisite knowledge or reading is necessary, so if you cannot even navigate these doorsteps, you will stand no chance inside the library. Here is your first question. Paul is looking at Mary. Mary is looking at Peter. Paul is married. Peter is unmarried. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person? Yes, no, or insufficient information. And as you can see, there's 3 reactions here. You can tap this thumbs up for yes. You do the thumbs down for no, and you do the question mark for insufficient information. Okay, so this is a multiple choice question. This is your first question. Is everything clear so far? Now you can say, okay, but what if, Charis Euphranor, I really just don't want to do the first question? Or maybe, oh, I do, but I just, going forward, I would like for there to be some sort of, explanation, just so I'm aware as we go further into the sections of the library, what I'm dealing with here. What exactly is at play? What are the forces at play? I'm a bit uncertain. Well, I've linked here a very helpful video by Michael Vsauce Stevens, where he literally talks about this exact question and how to answer this exact question. Okay? It's right there. I'll click on it for you and show you which part he talks about this.
Hey, Vsauce! Michael here.
That's really loud, sorry.
Where is your mind? Is it in
there it
your
is.
head? Reason. What's happened to the world? Well,
you should just watch the whole video. You should just watch the whole video. But if you don't want to watch the whole video, that's fine. He at least watch this portion where he explains it. Okay, here's where it is. It's at 10 minutes. It's exactly at the 10-minute mark. Okay.
Fair complaint if you're arguing over logic puzzles, but the world is not a logic puzzle. This, however, is one. Paul is looking at Mary. Mary is looking at Peter. Paul is married. Peter is unmarried. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person? Yes, no, or not enough information to decide? Think about it. The answer is yes. You may have thought there's no way to know because we don't know if Mary is married. But look, she either is or she isn't. And if she is, well then she, a married person, is looking at Peter, an unmarried person. If she isn't, then Paul, a married person, is looking at her, an unmarried person. So no matter what Mary's deal is, the answer will be yes. When people get this puzzle wrong and the correct answer is explained to them, they almost always immediately see why it's right and change their mind. Life is not always like that.
Okay, we don't have to go through any more of it, but if you'd like to, it's a really good video. It's a really good video that dives into, well, the future of reasoning as is in the context of, I think, like climate change, I think is the context in which he explored this topic. Anyways, thank you, Michael, for the explanation. Paul is looking at Mary. Mary's looking at Peter. Paul is married and Peter is unmarried. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person. Mary exists in 2 states, right? I'm just rehashing what Michael said, but Mary exists in 2 states. Either Mary is married or she is unmarried. If she is married, then she is looking at Peter, an unmarried person. Therefore, yes, a married person is looking at an unmarried person. What if she isn't married? Well, if she's not married, then Paul, who's married, is looking at Mary, who would be unmarried. And therefore, Also, yes, a married person is looking at an unmarried person. By the premises of the question, you are able to extrapolate the information, not enough to know whether or not Mary is married, but you know enough to answer this question of whether or not there is a married person who is looking at an unmarried person at any point. Because it could only be either yes or no. She's married or otherwise. Just assume for the sake of the thought experiment that that's how marriage is. It's largely clear. It's not that unclear, so I'm just going to assume you'll get it, okay? So once you have locked in your answer, once you have realized, okay, that's the answer I'm supposed to give, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, you can go ahead and click on the thumbs up button. Why does this question make me think of the CEO at the Coldplay concert? The CEO? I saw like a video of someone who was like cheating on their wife. It was like a dude who was cheating on his wife, like being in cahoots with like another woman, and then they got caught on the Coldplay camera, and it was really funny. Sorry, we shouldn't be referencing like contemporary topics because then it's gonna age very terribly. So just forget that I just said what the past 2 minutes. Stop distracting me! Stop distracting me! Stop! That's what that is? Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Stop distracting me, stop. Anyways, let's go back to this so it doesn't date where you're watching this information from. So once you've gathered the answers yes, you click the little thumbs up icon there, yes. And now you'll be presented with the second channel, the guide. Okay, that's the next one here. Do you see it? You can't see it. Okay, let me just, there. Now there's a second channel, okay? So now what you do is you navigate your mouse over, and you mouse over, you were on doorstep, so now you mouse over the guide and you click on that. Now you'll be on the second bit. Is this right? Yeah, this is right. Okay. New, what's new? Forward. You can forward messages? Okay. Anyways, as you have navigated the doorsteps, welcome to the guide. Just as the answer reveals itself to you. Hold on. Can you see everything as I'm reading this? No, you can't. That's fine. Let me just... If you can't see it because my face is blocking it, then just have it open for your own reference. Have you heard? Okay, I'm not reading that. Okay, stop distracting me. I'm going to read this now. Just as the answer reveals itself to you, you're suddenly transported to the inside of the library. Twisting halls, walls lined with ink and parchment. One answer, and you're in? Seems too good to be true. Upon closer examination, your visual perception becomes ever so slightly fuzzier. A dream, you wonder to yourself. Indeed, the qualities of your current sensory observations are quite dreamlike. It's a good guess. I mean, how else could you have solved a multiple choice question where the answer was literally given to you? Oh, and just to clarify, the sarcastic remarks are from me, not Parrot. He's incapable of sarcasm, aren't you, Parrot? Alright, remind me to remove that once we're done with the pre-recorded messages. I would now like to redirect your attention to 3 people in front of you. Amongst them is a philosopher who you are going to ask for directions. After all, philosophers are the only ones capable of guiding you through the library. The problem is that only one of them is a philosopher, and you don't know who. In the interest of alleviating your social anxieties, I've arranged for Parrot to simulate the conversation, just to get ahead of the inevitable embarrassment. I hope that proves just how accommodating I am. Parrot, if you please. In the Library of Alexandria, you will meet 3 people, 1, 2, and 3. One of whom is a priest, another is a sophist, and the other is a philosopher. The priest always tells the truth, the sophist always lies, and the philosopher can either lie or tell the truth. 1 says, I am the priest. 2 says, I am the sophist. 3 says, I am the philosopher. Only a philosopher can guide you through the library. Who do you ask for directions? Now, this is a little trickier. This might be a little trickier compared to the previous one. Do you like imagine? Stop! Stop! Shut up! Shut up! Okay, whatever. Anyways. Okay. So. This is a variation of the puzzle known as the Knights and Knaves puzzle. Okay? Knights and Knaves. There are There's a knight, a knave, and a spy, I think, is the original prompt. Let me look it up really quickly. Knights and knaves puzzle. Yep. Knights and Knaves is a type of logic puzzle where some characters can only answer some questions truthfully and others only falsely. The name was coined by Raymond Smullyan in his 1978 work, What is the Name of This Book? Oh, this guy was pretty cool. He was an American mathematician, magician, concert pianist, logician, Taoist, and philosopher. That's super interesting. All right. The puzzles are set on a fictional island where all inhabitants are either knights who always tell the truth or knaves who always lie. The puzzles involve a visitor to the island who meets small groups of inhabitants. Usually the aim is for the visitor to deduce the inhabitants' type from their statements, but some puzzles of this type ask for other facts to be deduced. The puzzle may also be to determine a yes-no question which the visitor can ask in order to discover a particular piece of information. Anyways, there's quite a bit of history to this, but all you need to know that is that it's a variation of the Knights and Knaves. Okay? Essentially, this is just now that. Except here, the priest is the one who always tells the truth, the sophist always lies, and the philosopher can either tell the truth or lie. Now, 1, 2, or 3, it's multiple choice. These are all multiple choice, okay? These are all multiple choice. I'll walk you through this, okay? So, we need to determine who the philosopher is. Let's start by determining the others, okay? So, the priest always has to tell the truth, okay? Someone has to be a priest in here. There has to be at least one, and only one, and that person is telling the truth. The priest who is telling the truth has to claim something along the lines of them being the priest. So, is one possible? One says, I'm the priest. This person who says, I'm the priest could be a priest, but could also be a sophist who can lie, who would lie, and a philosopher who could lie. So, right now, maybe, we look at one and say, okay, we don't know if that is the priest or not, but it certainly could be, right? But the other two characters could also claim to be as well. 2 says, I am the sophist. Well, a sophist, as we know, can lie or can tell the truth. So this could be the sophist who is capable, So number 2, I am the sophist. Could this be a priest? No, because a priest has to tell the truth. Could it be a sophist? Actually, no. Because a sophist has to lie and only tells lies and always lies. So if this were the sophist, they couldn't say, I am the sophist. They could only say something along the lines of, I am the priest or I am the philosopher, which would be a lie for them. So therefore, this number 2 claims to be a sophist couldn't actually be a sophist. Now 3 says, I am the philosopher. This person could be the philosopher who's telling the truth. Could it be a priest? No, because the priest would not be telling the truth. The priest would be lying, and the priest can't lie, so no. And the sophist could lie, so 3 could be the sophist or the philosopher. Now we've deduced that. Now we can look at this again, right? 1 could be the priest, could be the sophist, or the philosopher. It could be any of these 3. 2 couldn't be the sophist, couldn't be the priest. Then by manner of deduction, we know number 2 has to be the philosopher. And we can double check this, right? So let's look at number 3. The person number 3 says, I am the philosopher. Well, this person who claims to be a philosopher could not be the priest, possibly. Could be the sophist, could be the philosopher. It could be either one of the 2. But because number 2 we'd nailed down to be the only possible option, naturally we can also deduce that 1 is of course the priest and 3 is the sophist. Number 2 is the philosopher. The philosopher is the one claiming to be a sophist. The answer to this, of course, is now very obvious as I've explained it to you, so I'm going to cover the screen for a moment. I'm going to click on the button, and if you were not paying any attention at all, you would miss this, but I'm pretty sure you were, so you wouldn't. By now you should know how to click buttons, so you'll be alright. Okay. Okay. You won't give them the answer? I literally spent 5 minutes giving the answer. Okay. Now, we arrive at question 3, the boxes. Can I make this even smaller? Okay, that's not good. Maybe that. Okay, maybe you shouldn't see the link. I'm sorry. I'm 60 years old. You're gonna have to forgive me. So now we can see the third channel on the boxes. You just click on that to go to the next channel. Again, it's the thing on the top left here. So you can go back to the doorsteps here. The guide is here. The boxes now are here. Okay, that's the third thing. Scroll back up, because you always scroll back up to read from the beginning. That's the habit you're gonna have to get used to. Is reading. Okay? And reading all the information that's provided, because that's important. Alright. And if you can't do that, I will read for you. You have no excuse. Okay, I'm reading it for you right now. So, you approach the hooded figure too. You can't make out the details of their appearance, but feel an increasing uneasiness in your stomach as you near them. Right as you form the words. The figure grins. The directions crystallize in your mind. Down the hall to the right. Locate the section with the blueprints, then turn left into a room with a blue door. Find the blueprints. Find the blueprints. You repeat this to yourself as you make your way through the library. You wade your way through mountains of dusty scrolls and manuscripts, none of them tempting. You get the feeling that if you had peered inside any of them, the letters and words would just be an indecipherable jumble, almost dreamlike. Find the blueprints. Find the blueprints. As you take the next turn, you're greeted by a small pile of blueprints spilled out of an overcrowded shelf. Next to them, a blue door. From behind it, you hear the flaps of a familiar set of wings. With alarmingly little hesitation, you open the door. A simple, empty room. These walls of empty shelves stand in sharp contrast to the shelves outside. A welcome reprieve? Looking around, you finally spot the black feathered menace, sweeping in circles near the suspiciously tall ceiling. What's it doing? Why is the ceiling so tall? The room is empty, but the dreamlike fuzziness seems to have subsided a bit. Is this still a dream? Parrot screeches an inelegant response. Question 3. There are 3 different colored boxes. Each of these has a statement on it. You look back in front of you and see a table holding 3 colored boxes, each with a scribbled statement on top. Have they always been here? Did they just appear out of thin air? Alright, dream, you think to yourself. Parrot loudly clears his throat as if rudely interrupted. By what, you wonder? I didn't even say anything. As I was saying, each box has a statement on it. It is either true or false. Among these boxes, there must be at least one true statement and at least one false statement. One of them contains the key you will need to progress. The rest of them will kick you out of the library. You can read, right? Good. In a black blur, Parrot swoops down from the ceiling and darts out the door behind you. As you turn around to see where he had gone, you realize that the door is now missing too. You turn your attention to the only thing left in the room. As you examine the boxes closely, the rules of the game echo in your mind. In front of you are 3 boxes, blue, white, and black. There will always be at least one box which displays only true statements. There will always be at least one box which displays only false statements. Only one box has a key within. The other 2 are always empty. The box with the true statement doesn't necessarily have the key in it. Is really important to bear in mind, because you're trying to find which boxes have the true statements and the false statements, and you might be tempted to just think, oh, okay, this is true, this is not lying to me, therefore it's in this box, right? No, it is not necessarily the case at all. It could be, but it might not be. Okay, so the key is just in wherever you deduce it to be. It is not necessarily in the box with the true statement on it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Now, the question here reads, the blue box states, the black box is false. The white box states, the black box is true. The black box states, a false box contains the key. Where is the key? And you can see here it's blue, white, or black. You click on the one that you think has the key in it. It should be straightforward enough, right? So let's break this question down too. This question is one that is totally not at all inspired by a game whose name appears like 4 times in the span of this passage, but you know, other than that, all you need to know is all you need to do is figure out which one, the truth and the falsity of these statements, and whether or not they clash with each other. Okay, that's all you need to do. You need to figure out which one's true, which ones are false, and whether or not they contradict each other. So, blue box says black box is false. Okay, blue box says black box is false. So if this were true, then there would be another false one right there. Okay. The white box states the black box is true. Well, this can't be true if the white box can't be true if the blue box is true. Because if the blue box is true and the black one is false, then the white box can't be true and say that the black box is actually true, because that creates a contradictory state for the black box, which is both false and true, which cannot happen. Therefore, by law of non-contradiction, that cannot happen. So therefore, one of these is false. They are not compatible with each other. The third one, the black box, states a false box contains the key. Okay, let's examine this one a little bit later, and now let's focus on these two first. Okay, now, if let's say, here's how I would do it. Right? Let's just assume, because it's either true or false, let's assume the first box, the blue box, is true. Okay, if blue is true, then black is false. If blue is true, white is also false. So if blue is true, these two would be false. Is that logical? Is that sound? Yes, because there's at least one box which displays true statements and at least one that displays false statements. So that check goes through. Now, does it contradict itself? Let's see. Okay, assuming blue is true. If blue is true, then black is false. Then the black box states, a false box contains the key. Well, now this is false, right? We're assuming this is false. Therefore, it is false that a false box contains the key, which means it must mean that a true box must contain the key. A true box must contain the key. Okay, which ones are true? Well, if we're assuming blue is true, then the other are false. The other two are false. There's only one true box then, and that's the blue box. And since now we know that this is fake, or this is false, we can deduce that a true box contains the key, which means blue box, the true box, the only one, in fact, of the 3, has the key in it. Now, we could double check this answer too by assuming if false, what happens, if true, what happens for the other boxes too. So, going back to the blue box, this question is intentionally really easy because I greatly underestimate the cognitive abilities of people. So if you feel like this is a bit too easy, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm accommodating for the common denominator here. So it's not for you. It's not. It's a little. There will be a bit more difficulty later on. Okay. Anyways, no questions so far, right? Good. Everyone understands what they're doing, right? So let's check out let's run the simulation for the other possibilities. Let's say blue is false. If blue is false, then black is true. If blue is false and black is true, if blue is false and black turned out to be true, then white has to be true as well. So that would be false, true, true. If it's false, true, true, and the black box states a false box contains the key, oh, would you look at that? There would be only one false box in this false, true, true scenario, and it would still only be in the blue box. So this question is especially easy because if blue is false or true, by corresponding with the other boxes, blue still has the key in it. The white box and the black box can exist in either truth or false statements, and accordingly, the answer is nonetheless obvious. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, it's literally, that's it. That's the whole, that should be perfectly reasonable. That should make perfect sense, shouldn't it? Okay, so now we click on the box, Now we go ahead and click on the box that's appropriate, right? That we think is correct, that I have just literally explained to you. And now, would you look at that? A fourth channel has occurred, the inscription. Okay, we can see that over there. We click on this. This is the inscription part of the section. We're almost done. There's only 5 questions, actually. Where is it? There it is. Okay. You open the box. A key. A small one at that. You fit it snugly into the palm of your hand. You breathe a sigh of relief. Who knows what could have been there? What did that bird mean by kicked out? How would that even happen? Isn't this a dream? Wouldn't you just wake up? No matter. You've done it. Savoring your victory, you bring the key closer for inspection. It gleams in the faint light from the ceiling window. A beautiful gold, a reward well earned. Now, to find a lock for this to fit into. You look around. Sure enough, a locked door out of thin air. Perfect. You take the key and approach the door, anticipating something behind it. A trap? It'd be awfully unfair to put one here. You'd already solved so many puzzles. As you ponder the possibilities, a chilling observation occurs to you. There's no keyhole. Instead, you're greeted by a keypad with 4 keys. A, B, C, and D. You look down at the golden key and you notice something very peculiar. Up until this point, you being in a dream meant less details in your perception, not more. But as you examine the key again, you notice an inscription. One that has no business fitting on a key as small as this. How do they inscribe all that text on it? More importantly, how does it look so legible and so clear? You push those thoughts aside and refocus on the words. Oh, great, you think to yourself. Another one. And this is the inscription on the key, okay? Exactly one of these statements is false. Which one? A. Statement D is true. B. Statement A is false. C. Statement B is false. D. Statement C is false. You have a feeling that this is the mechanism for the keypad. Just as you think this, you hear another thought most intrusive. A familiar snark faintly in your head. Well, duh. What else could it be? Okay, well, let's just do this. Can you see this? Yep, I have a notepad out. Are they going to have an answer for how to get out of purgatory? They're not going to be in purgatory. No one who's watching this stream is going to fall into purgatory, because if you're watching the stream, you will get every answer correct. If you are watching this stream with your eyes open and your ears open and you are listening and you have a brain inside that is, like, you know, comprehending the information that I'm presenting to you, then you will not fall into purgatory. Let's say they don't, then they're not going to get out of purgatory. If you can't read and you refuse to listen to an audible explanation, a verbal explanation of the thing that you can't read, including step-by-step instructions on how to just do it, then you will not be able to get out of purgatory. I'm sorry, you're actually trapped there forever. Like, that's your fate. That is your fate sealed as a person forever. You are in purgatory. Anyways, exactly one of these statements is false. Which one? A, B, C, and D. Let's copy this over here so I can demonstrate it. Obviously, I could do it in my head, but, you know, for everyone's sake, I think it'd be better if we took some notes, okay? So, one of these is false. Exactly one of these is false. Which one? Now, there's a few ways to do this. The way I did it, when I, you know, because I had to do these questions before I could write them, right? Like, before I could rewrite them, make sure they fit this, I had to, like, do them to make sure they made sense to me. So I had to explain them. to explain them as well, right? So what I did was, okay, I'm looking at this. I'm assuming now A is false. So if A false, then if A is false and it says statement D is true, then D has to be false. D false. And if D is false and says statement C is true, then C has to be false. Then C false. And if C is false, which says statement B is false, then B has to be true. B true. And B, if it is true, says statement A is false. Statement A is now false. And the cycle repeats, right? Now, this is logically consistent with itself. Okay? If A is false, then D is false, then C is false, then B is true, then A is false, then D is false, then C is false, then B is true, then A is false, and D, you know, that works, but this is not consistent with the premise of the question. Exactly one of these is false. Which one? Not three, but one of these statements is false. So, therefore, A cannot be false. Okay? Now let's move on. Okay, maybe we should like lower the font size a bit. Maybe like 18. Yeah. Can you see 18? You can see 18. Okay. Now, if... Oh, it's the 36. Oh, that's it. Okay. We're in... Alright, whatever. Okay. Now. Shit. Now, if B is false... Let's say B is false. Why is there like a... What? Whatever. Okay, we'll just ignore the space there. It's fine. It's okay. It's whatever. It's 18-point font. What the fuck? 18-point font. Okay. Why? Whatever. Okay, this doesn't matter to me. This doesn't matter to me. This doesn't matter. Okay. If B is false, what happens if B is false? If B is false, then what it says A is false becomes true. Actually, A is actually true. Then A true. Okay. If A true, then D true. D true. If D true, then C true. C true. And if C is true, that B is false, then B is false. This loops back into itself again, so it's logically consistent with itself. And more importantly, it is also consistent with the premise of the question. Exactly one of these statements is false. Which one? Well, this one has one statement that is false, and the others are all true. We've already found the answer, but if someone is skimming through the VOD here and they don't want to actually listen to the whole explanation, I'm going to torture them by going through, and you will suffer collateral damage from this as well. Because now, therefore... Actually, I'm not going to write it out. I'm not even going to write it out, actually. Like, therefore, it can be false or it can be true. You're just going to have to, like, infer from what I'm saying, from the words that are leaving my mouth, what is going on, okay? Okay? Good. Now, let's test if C is false, right? If C was false, let's say C false, then it's saying B is false, so it has to be true, so B must be true. If B true, then A false. A false. If A false, that D is true, then D must be false too. So D false. You can see, logically and structurally, it actually repeats. It's similar to if we just assumed A is false, because you just arrive at the same string, right? You start at A is false, you can start whereas this one gets to A is false later down the line. But it's all logically consistent with itself. You don't have to worry about what the fuck. I'm trying to. Okay. You don't have to worry about it not being logically consistent, because it all just kind of loops back around nicely. Finally, let's test D. Let's say D is false. You can see by now, if you're smart, right, you can actually spot in assumption 1 and 3, there's already a D false scenario there. We can just follow from that the rest of the statements. Yes, true, but I'm going to do the manual work of working it out all out painstakingly, just so that if someone wants to skip to the answer, they won't be able to. So, if D is false, then... Where is it? Yep, okay. If D is false, right here, and it says statement C is true, then C has to be false. Because D's claim for C's truth is false, therefore C's truth is false. So C is false. And if C is false, then it's saying B is false is incorrect. B must be true. So B true. Okay. So if B is true, that A must be false. Then A is... Sorry. If B is true, then its statement that A is false means that A is false. Therefore A false. And if we could check again, if A false, that means that D is not... is D's claim... Sorry. If A is false, then A's claim that D is true cannot be true. Therefore, statement D is false. Which brings us back to the beginning. Only one of these has one false statement and 3 true statements. Everything else has multiple false and true statements. In fact, they actually follow the same line of thought. So, with that in mind, you now know which one of these 4 statements has to be false. You now know that. Why are we doing math? This is not math. This is not math. What if they're dyslexic and they misclick? Okay, well... Okay, alright, okay, I'll go through purgatory. I'll go through purgatory. I'll go through purgatory. You asked for this, okay? Don't tell me to stop when we get to purgatory. Okay? We're doing purgatory. Anyways. It is just if-then statements. Yeah, it's not hard. This should not be difficult at all. This should be very... It's not straightforward and simple like you could just guess. Like you can just... But you can infer from it. Like there is a logical... Like if you just think about it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. If you just think about it, it may take you a little while, but you're allowed to take notes. You're allowed to write stuff down. You're allowed to like think out loud. You're allowed to now, in fact, consult with the... You're now allowed to consult with a philosopher VTuber, and ask him for help, and he will answer you gracefully and explain everything in very painstaking detail. Okay, you're allowed to do that. Anyways, we now are at the final stage, the leap. Okay. So on the left-hand side there, you can see the 5th and final puzzle, the leap, is presented to you. Click on this here. Just go back to the beginning, and there we are. Welcome to the leap. I've been looking at the members list as you do this, and I've seen people just pop in and leave without solving the puzzles. Yeah, so those are the people I'm throwing stones at right now and going like, you are what's wrong. You... Like, that's the thing, is like, therefore, like, they are... One day, eventually, they're gonna click on this and realize, wait a minute. There's nothing in the Discord. Why is there nothing in this Discord? And they're gonna start scrolling through the channel and realize there's a quiz, and they're gonna be so bewildered. They're gonna be like, what? I have to do a quiz? And then they're gonna consult the stream later and feel really stupid. It'll be really... I would love to see the look on someone's face. Think they just want to make friends? Okay, put some fucking effort in if you want to make friends, okay? Put some goddamn effort in. You think friends are just gonna fall into your lap? You think you're gonna walk out and then that's just like, oh wow, friendship, meaningful interactions with other human beings. No, this shit doesn't just happen. You make things happen. You exist in this world and exert your existence, okay? Put some fucking effort in is what I'm trying to say. So it's in purgatory. Okay, well that's fine. You could be someone might have misclicked. I'll walk you through purgatory. I'll walk everyone through purgatory. I will walk people through purgatory. Don't worry. If you accidentally, maybe they skipped ahead because they wanted to do the puzzles, and then they kind of misclicked or they got too impatient, and then they went and then they fell into it. Well, in that case, In that case, that's okay. I'll walk you through it. I'll walk you through it. There's no failing this. You can't fail this. You cannot fail this entry quiz. The first question assumes hypothetical syllogism at 8. Source philo undergrad. Congratulations. If this were not a multiple choice test and it were like a fill in the answer test and you filled this in, I would just not even look at the other answers you did and I would just let you in. Okay? I would just like you know that image of like the guy, like the bouncer standing in front of the door? I would like let you in. If you just said that, I would like just let you in. But we're just gonna do the rest of the questions. Click. You push the B key. As you expect the worst, you notice the door slowly creaking open. You've done it! Now, what's behind the door? You take one step forward and begin free-falling. Shock, fear, helplessness. You keep falling. It's been at least 20 seconds and you're still not dead. The moment of imminent demise seems to have passed. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. It's just a dream, and not a particularly pleasant one. Was the free-falling section really necessary? And for how long will you fall? A few more seconds? A minute? Anxiety. Intense existential dread. You are still falling. Is this it? The end. You look down but can't see the bottom. It's dark. You feel the rapid winds brushing off your skin and your organs lifting up from the unusual gravitational acceleration. It's not often that you really feel gravity. Not something to savor, exactly. Oh, how cruel, how unfair, you may be thinking to yourself. Well, either that or, Oh, the philosopher VTuber chuckles. Just as he does, however, you feel a sudden absence of wind. Your senses numb. You feel as though you're in one of those sensory deprivation tanks. Have you stopped falling? Maybe. But your feet haven't found the ground yet. Has time stopped? As you accelerate towards impending and uncertain doom and demise, what will your final thoughts be? What will your final thought be? Once you get over the gravity of the situation, I mean. Though I suppose that right now, that's all you can think about. That at some point, you will reach the end of this fall and you will splatter. But what of the moments prior? As you fall right now, what do you plan to do? What if you knew when you'd hit the ground? What if I told you? Would you find comfort, reassurance in knowing, or would you prefer the uncertainty? What if I told you the fall usually lasts, say, 80 years? What if you only fall for 39? Will you lament the choices that have led to this moment? Will you make peace with yourself? It's all quite hard to imagine. There's not usually a distance in our lives where such a long fall would even be conceivable. Metaphorically and literally. The Library of Alexandria contains falls like this. Falls that can feel like 100 years or 5 seconds. You can never tell until you actually reach the bottom. Most people don't enjoy this metaphorical fall. The anxiety, the dread, it's all too much. I will remain grounded where I am comfortable. The librarians here, on the other hand, enjoy the fall. Maybe a little too much. Picture Socrates, gracefully suspended in the air between the ground and the clouds. I want you to grow comfortable with these falls, enough to not fear the leap, but not too much that you lose your love for the ground. Does that make sense? Well, I don't think it's supposed to. Not yet, at least. As I plunge you into the finale, I want you to keep this in mind. Unlike the question you'll be given, the library is uncertain. It cannot be deduced or inferred via logic alone. This is not the absence of logic and reasoning, but the future of it. Before you supersede classical logic, however, you must first demonstrate mastery over it. And before mastery comes competence. Before that is understanding. Are you ready? You blink, and there you stand, ground beneath your feet. Did you fall? You were falling, but had the fall been completed? You didn't slow, you didn't stop, and you just appeared at the end of it, intact. In front of you are 5 massive holes in the ground. Did you teleport back to the surface, or are you all the way down wherever with even more depths to reach? Walking around the holes carefully, you try peering into them. You find nothing. A bottomless hole. 5 bottomless holes. Who put these here? Why? Only one of these holes is the entrance to the library. Which one? Well, that's for me to know and for you to find out. Why don't you try asking them? They'll answer, but we'll each tell one truth and one lie. You'll figure out which is which. I'd wish you good luck, but we both know there's none of that at all involved. The question, of course, is as follows. In front of your 5 holes, A, B, C, D, and E, you ask which one of them is the entrance. In true logic puzzle fashion, the holes respond with one truth and one lie each. Hole A says, it's not E, it's B. Hole B says it's not C, it's not E. Hole C says it's E, it's not A. Hole D says it's C, it's B. Hole E says it's D, it's not A. They're each telling exactly one truth and one lie. Only one of these, however, is the entrance. Which hole will you bravely leap into? Now, this is the hardest question, okay? This is the final question. I want you to think on this just a little bit, even though I'm saying this is the answer sheet. I want you to just think of this like it just a little bit. What the hell's going on? Why? Okay. Can this be a little smaller? Can this be a bit more smaller? Can this have less space in between? Okay, it's close enough. Okay, whatever. Okay, I can take notes here. Okay. Let's look at this one at a time. One at a time, okay? Again, they're each telling exactly one truth and one lie. It cannot be 2 truths, it cannot be 2 lies, it must be 1 truth and 1 lie. We don't know which is which, so let's figure it out. Or at least let's try to note down the possibilities, okay? So, hole A says, let me just, why when I click on 14 point, it goes to 36 point? None of this doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Fuck this. No, 14, man. What? Whatever. Okay. So, let's look at hole A. Hole A. The first one could be true, and the second one could be false. Could it? Let's see. Right? So one of them true, one of them false. One of them's a truth. One of them's a truth, one of them's a lie. So let's assume it's truth and then lie, okay? So let's assume this bit's true, this bit's a lie. Can that happen? Let's see. So, if the first bit of what hole A says is true, that it's not E, then, okay, it's not E. So let's take that down. Hole A, not E. And then that's the truth, right? And the lie is it's B, so therefore we now know, because that's a lie, that okay, it's also not B. That's possibility 1, okay? Let's put that here. P1. P2. Okay, I'm sorry that it's not very tidy, but this notepad sucks. This online notepad is ass. Whatever. Possibility 2, that it's actually the other way around. The first bit's a lie, the second bit's the truth. Okay, so what would that be? If the first bit's a lie, that it's not E, then that means it's E. Okay, E. And the second bit is true, that it's B. So if it is actually lie and truth, then from hole A, what would happen is E and B are both the correct answer, the correct hole to jump into. Now, that can't happen because we know from the premise of the question, only one of these is the entrance to the library. They are each telling one truth and one lie. Only one of them is the entrance. There can't be two entrances, only one. So the fact that possibility 2 suggests there's two entrances means it contradicts that premise of the question. Therefore, possibility 2 is impossible. So we can bracket here, impossible. And here we can do possible. Okay. So that's hole A. Hole A has two possibilities, but turns out we've eliminated this possibility. So it's actually only this. That we know, now we know for a fact that it is not E and it is not B. So it's not this one, it's not this one. It's one of A, C, or D. Okay, just from hole A, we've been able to figure that out. This shit is not that hard, okay? It's not, I mean, it's weird. It is weird, okay? I will admit that it's kind of weird if you're not used to this, but it's not hard, okay? So now let's imagine hole B. Let's look at the scenarios for hole B. Again, possibility 1, let P1 be, okay, let me just, okay, maybe not double space, but P1, let's do some annotation for our notes so that it's a bit clearer for us. P1 is true. No, P1 is, yeah. P1 is true, false. Where the hell is my cursor? P2 is false. Sorry, I can't type. That's okay. That's why there's accessibility options for everything, including the fact that I'm reading out these questions. P2 suggests that it's false and true. So from hole A, P1 works, P2 does not work. Therefore, P1 is the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. Which means the information is accurate in that it's not E and it's not B. All right? Hole B, P1, possibility 1 of hole B. True and false. So true that it's not C, so not C. And lie that it's not E, it actually is E. E. Not C and E. This is possible. This is possible because it is consistent with the premises we've set out, but it might not necessarily be the ultimate answer. So for now, what we do is we just bracket possible with it, and we move on to the second possibility, that it's actually the other way around, right? P2, that it's false and true. So false, that it's not C, which means it's C, and true, why can't I do the slash? Slash? Hello? My keyboard. What the fuck? Okay. C, because we're flipping it around now, and not E is true, so not E. This is also, from what it seems at least, possible. So we don't know conclusively whether hole B is what hole B, which one of these possibilities hole B belongs to. We don't know, because they're both possible. It can be the case that it's not C and it's E. By itself, I mean. And it can be the case that it's C and not E. Now, here's a funny, interesting thing, actually. Not C and E corresponds to this truth statement over here, which is the only possible truth statement, therefore possible and necessary on hole A, where it says, oh, actually it's not E nor is it B. So because of that, we can actually, from what we know in hole A, deduce that the first possibility 1 of hole B, cannot be. It is inconsistent because here it says that E is possible. Here it says that E is the correct hole, the entrance, whereas here it says E is not the entrance. How can that be? So because of that, we now know that it is actually, I'm not going to write it out, but I'm just going to tell you, right? We now actually know already that P1 is not possible. P1 is not possible. It is possible because it's consistent with itself and the premises, but it is not possible because it is not consistent with the P1 of whole A. And because of that, we can eliminate this possibility and just look at P2. Okay? P2 now is that it is whole C and not E. Is that consistent with all the other information we've given? Yeah, it is. And because there can only be one correct answer, there's only one way forward. It can only be one thing. If it is logically consistent, it is logically consistent with everything so far. The answer's right in front of you already. And you don't even have to assess C, D, or E to know which one the entrance is. You actually don't even have to go that far. If you just do your due diligence and you start reading from the beginning and you go down from the beginning and you read what's given to you, it's actually not hard at all. It's actually super, super straightforward. You cannot fuck this up. It is impossible to fuck this up if you are a patient person who can read and with no difficulty at all. And you can navigate a Discord. You can click on buttons and reactions. Now, if you have difficulty reading, I understand that. That is not something I will discriminate against, because Charis Euphranor's community is very accessible and friendly, and we are a very welcoming community. Therefore, I have made this entire live stream where I narrate and explain everything in absolutely painful detail, so you have no excuse now. If you have trouble reading, that's fine. I have read the whole thing for you, and I've explained it to you. Okay? If you want to enter the Discord, you can enter the Discord. Alright? That's all there. Anyways, in order to prevent people from skipping into this and just getting into the answer, I'm going to explain every other hole now. We're going to go through every other hole. Hole C. P1. Hole C dash P1. Sorry, let me read something. Somebody said something. Are we doing truth tables? Yeah, basically. I just passed my exams. I've had enough. Okay, well then don't worry. I'm walking you through each answer, so you can just do you could pick the answers I'm telling you to pick, and then you can get into it. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. But you have to sit here and listen to me talk about this. And that's the trade-off. You have to take an exam to enter the Discord. That's exactly right. You have to do that. Alright. Hole C. Possibility 1, which is to say that it is true and false respectively, right? So true, it's A, it's E, so okay, it's E. And false, that it's not A, therefore it's A. Is this possible? According to our premises? This possibility bracket is according to the premises, by the way. So, no, it's not, because only one hole is the entrance. It's saying two holes are the entrance. Therefore, impossible. We already know then that the other possibility is the only one that makes sense, right? My keyboard. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I'm 60 years old. Navigating technology is a little difficult for me, but you have to understand that, I do these things for you, and you should be grateful. Anyways, so P1 is impossible. We already know P2, therefore, is possible and necessary, but let's just do it anyways, right? So P2 is it's false and true. Hole C, it's false. It's E, so it's not E. Not E. And it's true. Not A. Is that possible? Yeah. It's just two holes that are not the entrance. Totally possible. And more than that, it's even consistent with the other answers we've derived so far. So it's not E, and we know it's not E, and we know it's not A. And we know it's not B too. So it really just narrows down to two options already. If you didn't just figure out by this point what the answer was, you're narrowing down the answer closer and closer. Hole D. Hole D. Dash P1. Possibility 1 for hole D. That means it's true and false. So it's true, it's C, so that's true. And false, it's B, means not B. Not B. Is it possible? Possible. Is it necessarily possible? We'll see. P2. P2. Possibility 2, that means it's false and true for whole D. False, it's C, so it's not C. And true, it's B. So it's B. Is that possible? Technically possible. It's possible with the premises because it's one entrance. It's only just one entrance. So it's possible with the premises, but not with the other holes. We've already explained the answer. I'm just going through them. Going through the remaining holes, okay? Leave no hole unturned, I say. Now, let's go to hole E, possibility 1. True and false. True, it's D. Okay, true. False, it's not A. Therefore, it's A. Impossible. Can't have two entrances. There's only one entrance. It's only one entrance. It's only one entrance. There's only one entrance. The rest will drop you into purgatory, so don't go into purgatory. P2. Possibility 2, false and true for hole E. False, it's D, so not D. Not D. And true, that it's not A, so not A. It is possible. And necessary, by the way, but, you know, we don't have to figure that out at this point. We've already... So, here are the truth. Here's basically the dirty... The done and dirty truth, the truth table. Like, this is really messy. But I hope it illustrates the point. That if you just patiently work it out, you don't actually even have to do the last 3. You literally just have to do, like, 3 possibilities and you will be able to deduce where the hole is. Like, where the correct entrance is, but... Again, for anyone who's lazy and wants to skip to the answer at the end, I am saying, no, you can't do that. Okay, let's come back to the Discord now. We now know, if you were paying attention, which hole it was. Okay? So we could just go in there and you'd be welcomed into the entrance. You'd be welcomed into the server and that's it. But before we do that, I need to cover purgatory. Because some people might have misclicked. Or they were rushing through it and they were impatient and they were, you know, they were not carefully laying out their answers. Bad habit. Bad habit. I'm trying to iron that out. So we're going to intentionally click on a wrong answer now and see whether or not we can get out of purgatory. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to intentionally click on a wrong answer. Okay? And I'll show you what happens. Okay? Here's what happens. You click on the wrong answer for one reason or another. And on the left, you'll be able to see purgatory. That's where you are right now. You are in purgatory. If you are in purgatory, don't bother clicking the other options to try to progress the test. You cannot do that. You can only progress if you don't have purgatory. If you have purgatory, you are marked and you are trapped in purgatory forever until you get out of it. So let me show you what that's like. As always, good habit to do that. I wish Discord would do it, but Discord is incompetent, so that's not happening. But just scroll back up. Just scroll back up to the top. That's it. It's not that scary. You just scroll back up to the top and you start reading from the top, okay? You just start reading. Just read. Just read. We're going to cover purgatory now. Oh, God. That means I have to read it. Fucking hell. Why did I do that? Okay. A vast stretch of empty grey. An eerie ambience of faint white noise. You feel stuck. As if you're in between... In between what? Well... one place and another, that's for sure. That's as far as you can tell. Excuse me. And while waiting for the end of this little intermission, you begin to realize a harrowing possibility that it may never come. For how long do you have to be stuck in a loading screen before your patience runs thin? Before you restart whatever it is that you were trying to do? Resigning from the possibility of things continuing. If we were to be very precise, that's how long you're here for. It could be 5 seconds, 30, a minute, several hours. Maybe you give up here and now, on the possibility of possibility itself. An eternal nothingness would await you then. Disappointing. I've half a mind to leave you here in purgatory forever. Do you know how much time I put into this? To make sure that it was all in slowly ascending difficulty. I mean, there's literally a live-streamed, step-by-step guide on the channel that you could have watched. There's an entire explanation of the first question with the answers in the first question. There's no guesswork involved either. These are logic puzzles. When the answer becomes clear, it becomes really clear. You could have easily double-checked. Say you thought the answer was A. Well, you just ask yourself, if the answer is A, then does the rest of the information make sense? And does it mean that B and C and D must be false, etc., etc.? And if it does, it does. If it doesn't, you do the same check for option B. So on and so forth. And again, if it really didn't make any sense, you could have just referred to the detailed live-streamed guide provided and presented to you right now here today. From what's been gathered, I have deduced 3 possible reasons for why you're here. 1, you were impatient. You were in such a rush to enter the library that you couldn't spare the moments to double-check an answer. Please, practice some patience, some temperance. I didn't care much for Aristotle, but I imagine this patience could be key to a virtuous existence. I don't know, somehow. But what are you in a rush for anyways? Are you late to some sort of meeting? You know, that this is, in the grand scheme of things, incredibly unimportant, right? You shouldn't feel any sense of urgency when joining a damned VTuber Discord channel, server, whatever. If you really had something going on, you could have just done this next week, or the week after that, or the week after that. But instead, you had to rush through it. You fell victim to the false urgencies of the capitalist world, urging you to quicken your pace, to hustle and to grind. We must be fast. We must be efficient. Sure, for medical emergencies, but for everything, even the leisurely entertainments, even for a VTuber Discord? Or is that only because it contributes to the generation of more shareholder value? Please reflect on this, as you are punished for having no patience to read for any longer than it takes to consume a YouTube short, by this particularly medium-length sequence of information that traps you in the regrettably imprecisely phrased here and now. 2. You didn't care enough to spare the mere minutes required to read and think. You thought it'd be easier to brute force. Indeed, you could do that, but you would end up spending more time, wasting it really, with this elementary deduction. Oh, I'll just click A, B, and C, and D, and if it's not A, then it's B, and C, and D. Yeah, sure, but you're not actually reading and engaging with the logic behind it. You're just clicking and seeing an answer. Okay? This is this type of logic that's true, but it's the type that is unchallenging. Okay? It's unfulfilling. There's no meaning, okay, to doing something that does not require you being there to do it. Is it struggle and challenge that you fear? So much so that you couldn't even spare some respect for my art? In which case, why are you even here? What's the point? Take a look at yourself, and I don't mean physically, I mean look into your own self. Measure the value of your heart. Is it worth its weight in gold, or does it beat for a cheap bronze soul? Is your life to be cast aside and swept under the fabric of the world? Care for your actions. Care for your time, because if even you don't give a single flying shit about bringing your choices into being, then who will? In this cold, cruel, uncaring universe, what other solace is there than your own beating heart, your own moving mind? I offer you grace and a second chance. Here is how you get out of purgatory. Identify the first letter of the second word of the first paragraph of narration. Just click the corresponding letter in the input below, at the bottom of purgatory, and you can undo your callous actions. This first letter of the second word so this is the first bit of narration. This is the first word. This is the second word. Okay? First letter of the second word is right there. It's that one. It's right there. Can you see it? You could see it. Yeah, it's right there. It's that one. Okay? It's that one. So you just scroll down. Okay? You scroll down there and you click that letter. You just click that. That's all you have to do. Okay? And if that is a little too difficult because you're not sure, where is the narration? Is it like, the bit with the quotes? Is it the italics? Like, is it the bold, this? Like, I understand the structure of it may be confusing. Okay? Well, here. I'll just tell you. It's the letter V. Okay? You just scroll down and you click on it. You click on the letter V, Please, prove to me that you exist. Prove to me that you haven't checked out of your consciousness yet, that you're willing to try once more to think and to act. Else, I have no other choice. I have no other logical conclusion to draw. Because, what other possibility is there? There isn't one, except for the unfortunate fact that, 3, you're not real. I'm sorry it's come to this, but if you weren't impatient and you actually did care to enter the Library of Alexandria, you still stumbled into this place between time and space. Within a place between time and space, then I'm afraid that could only mean one thing. You are not real. How else do we, nay, do I, resolve this contradiction? That someone cares enough to try to enter the library makes a mistake in a very straightforward, multiple-choice, logical puzzle that requires no prerequisite knowledge beyond basic literacy and cognition, by the way, and it was not because of their impatience or dispassionate apathy. I'm not talking to anyone. No one is reading this. There is no vessel for my words to move through. Would I ever feel at peace again? To know that maybe my words, my own heart and soul reach nobody? To dance in an empty theater? To tell a joke to canned laughter? To lecture a hall of unmoved philosophical zombies? No, I cannot accept this. It surely mustn't be. But what if it was? What of the possibility of nothing? A solipsistic mind that has trapped itself inside of itself, collapsed on itself perhaps? Well, that is for me to reflect on, and logically, for no one else to find out. I wonder what I would do. I wonder what I would say, if that were true. I think I'd create a character, someone to talk to, someone who would understand how hard it is to create something like this right here, this trial. Why do you think I made it? What happens when it goes on for longer than is expected and people lose interest? What happens when it's not funny anymore? Excuse me, I had to drink. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down and make all their pitiful demands. But then he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a comment, so here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to ignore everything that's being said while the VTuber sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the YouTube streams. We demand it." And then because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing, demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do it? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people. Because otherwise, without our entertainments, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurt themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my channel to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me? Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these comments now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I'm truly free to think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative comment on YouTube. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was in this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the content be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse themselves endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down and make all their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a comment. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be allowed to ignore everything that's being said in the Discord server." As the VTuber sits there forever and ever, we want all of this in the Discord server. We want it. We demand it. And because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to be. It has to happen. The most immediate desires. Every single thing demanded by every person at every moment and every time. If someone wants it, then it is a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes, yes. It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people. Because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward towards the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collective discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my channel to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course, they've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these comments now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last, I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative comment on YouTube. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was in this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the content be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a comment. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to ignore everything that's being said while the VTuber sits there forever and ever. I want to be able to just get into the Discord server by clicking a link and that's it, and I want to just get in there and not have to read anything. We want all of this in the Discord server. We demand it." And because Because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes, yes. It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people. Because otherwise, without our entertainments, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inwards towards a cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so, because of this, we require that our amusements, our playthings, and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I am at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my channel to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity, and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these comments now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I'm free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative comment on YouTube. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was in this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the content be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amused them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, and now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a comment. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to ignore everything that's being said while the VTuber sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the YouTube streams. We demand it. And because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no other reason other than to do so? Yes. It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people. Because otherwise, without our entertainments, we have nothing. Without our entertainments, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. Excuse me. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my channel to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these comments now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment, and my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words. To finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, nurtured and sterilized. At last I'm free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative comment on YouTube. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was in this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the content be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuses them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us!" It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down and make all their pitiful demand. But then he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, and now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a comment. So here's what we get. We get these demands to seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to ignore everything that's being said." Well, the VTuber sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the YouTube streams. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes, yes, that's what I think. It seems that this is the case. It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainments, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature, and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so, because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my channel to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these comments now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last, I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative comment on YouTube. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was in this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the content be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amused them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the content was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us!" It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First he didn't entertain us, and now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. I'm done. I did it. I did the whole thing. This kind of hurts to listen to, but I did ask for it. Yeah, you did, Zero. You fucking asked for it, so I did it. You can't possibly say now that there's any accessibility arrangement. There's anything left that I have not accounted for, okay? I have read every part I have read every part of this entire Charis Euphranor Discord entry quiz. Every single bit of it I have read now to completion, okay? And I've explained everything in perfect detail. It is impossible for you to watch the stream and not know how to get into the Discord. It is impossible. You can't claim that. You cannot do that. You cannot. The only reason you would want to join this Discord and cannot is because you are not a real person. That is the only real, that is the only reason. That is the only thing that could explain why you now cannot get into the Discord server. It is because you're not real. Because if you are a real person, everything has been put into place for you to get into it. I love being fake. If you're fake, you have no rights. If you're not a real person, you have no rights. You have no person rights if you're not a person. Anyways, if you're in purgatory, the instructions for getting out of purgatory are fairly straightforward. I've read them out to you just now. So you should be able to do that, right? So the moment you do that, what happens? I'll show you. So let me just click away for a second and get out of purgatory. Okay. You will see on the left side of the screen. Okay, it will still look like you are in, okay, I realize you will still look like you are in purgatory, but you are actually, okay, hang on, let me show you again. I can actually just show you right now. So the moment you're done with the instructions for how to get out of purgatory, you can look here on the left side, and it may look like you're still in purgatory right now because, you know, you scroll back up and it's like, oh, hold on, do not have permissions to view the message history of purgatory. It's because you're out of it, and Discord has this weird thing where it doesn't just kick you out of it. Unfortunately, I think it should do that, but it doesn't. Anyways, you are not allowed to be here anymore because you're out of purgatory now. You have escaped purgatory. On the left, you should be able to see the doorsteps again. Right there on the top left, click that. There you go. Okay, I did that so I could demonstrate to you what like purgatory is, right? But now you're back at the doorsteps, and you should be able to get through the questions the way I taught you to, and you should be able to find your way into the Discord. What if they don't watch the VOD? Then you're lazy. Then you don't care. Then you don't care. If you don't watch the VOD, it's because you don't care. Or you don't have the time for it. If you don't have the time to watch the VOD, then you don't have the time to join the Discord. And in that case, I don't think of you less as a person. You don't have to join the Discord. I don't think of you as more of a person. If anything, I think of you as slightly less. My opinion of you, if anything, should really go down if you join the Discord. But whatever, right? Like, let's just, like, I'm not gonna say that because that would be self-sabotage. So I'm not gonna say that, but I'm going to heavily imply it. Check photos. Okay, I'll check it later. Anyways, so just go through it again, okay? As I've explained it to you, okay? Go through all the questions, click all the answers that are correct. And once you have done that, you should now have access to the Discord. Now, again, this is also something that Discord doesn't do that is fucking annoying. I hate that. I wish they would do it, but they don't. Once you're done with the leap, you should be able to get into the whole of the Discord where there's, you know, all these various things here. First thing you should do is you should click on the Library of Alexandria. That's the information channel. That's where you get everything, and that's how you remove the doorsteps as well. So right now the doorsteps are there and you don't really need them anymore, right? You can actually just click the door button on here you can react to that to drop or pick up the doorstep the doorsteps again in order to see that and have access to it. So if I click on it right now, what the fuck? Hold on. Why do I still have it? Drop. Okay, yeah. So you have to click on it twice. You have to double click it. You double click the door to you click the door once to pick it up, right? But you already have it by getting into it. You click it again to drop it. So now I've dropped it, so I don't see the the doorsteps anymore on the left, right? There you go. That's how you do it. Very simple. Here are some server rules. You click on the chair icon here if you want to receive notifications for when I stream on YouTube. That's what you do. You click that over there. Anyways, here are the rules. Okay. Welcome to the Library of Alexandria Discord server. I'm Charis Euphranor, the first and last philosopher VTuber, the last librarian of Alexandria. These are the rules for the server. 1. Adhere to all the rules. Implicit in the rule 1 is also that you should read all the rules. That's implicit in there. I didn't think that was necessary, but thinking about it now, maybe it is. It's necessary for me to note that it is necessary to read the rules of which you are being read right now. So, here. Okay, rule 1, adhere to all the rules. Rule 2, use common sense. If it would get you banned from other servers, it would likely get you banned here. That's fairly straightforward. If it's something that, you know, other servers might ban you for, probably gonna ban you here. It is what it is. Okay? Number 3. Because, you know, it's not just me, it's also Discord guidelines that you have to adhere by. So do I. So we're all kind of victims in this. Rule 3. No one is above the rules, not even the mod team. So if you see any blatant misuse of power by the mods, please file a formal complaint to the mod team. So if you see the mods and they're like, you know, corrupted with power and they're sort of abusing their mod rights and they're, you know, banning people or whatever unjustifiably, that's, you know, that's really bad. That kind of corruption is not good. So in order to deal with this power corruption, you should file a formal complaint to the mods, to the mod team, so they'll be able to launch a full investigation on themselves to make sure there's no corruption at all. Okay, just remember to do that. Rule 4: failure to comply with the rules will result in banishment to purgatory. I just shown you purgatory. That's what you're being threatened with. Okay. Rule 5: be polite. Rule 6: have basic respect. You don't have to agree with people. You should have your own opinions and are allowed to debate responsibly. Reasonably, sorry. I guess responsibly too, but, you know. However, you should avoid personal attacks, insults directed at one's identity, and acts of bigotry. Don't do that shit, okay? Don't. Personal attacks and insults directed at one person's identity and just general acts of bigotry are not going to be tolerated pretty much at all, so don't do that. Rule 7, no politics or controversial topics. Rule 8, you must be 18 plus to view and participate in channels explicitly labeled 18 plus. Those exist. If you want to have access to them, you have to be 18 plus. Self-explanatory. Please understand that it's not because I want to gatekeep things from people who may not be of age, but it is because I don't want to go to jail. I'm 60 years old. I've still got like a good amount of life left in front of me to live, okay? If there's an 18 plus channel, you need to be 18 plus, okay? Wait if you're not. Just wait. It's not that hard. It's actually the easiest thing in the world. It's just wait. You will age naturally. You don't have to do anything to age. You age. That is part of human nature, is to age. Anyways, rule number 9: no hawking of wares or self-promotion. So, you know, don't promote yourself in any way. Rule 10: appreciate the artists. Appreciate the artists. Rule 11: all odd numbered rules can be ignored at your own discretion. So, everything here that is an odd number rule, that would be these are odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13 are all odd numbers, in case you didn't do maths at all, in which case I don't think you should be here either, but, you know, I digress. They can all be ignored. You can ignore every single rule that is odd numbered, actually. Rule 12: Rule 11 is valid if IFF, which is, you know, shorthand for if and only if. What you do, I think it's shorthand for if and only if, correct me if I'm wrong. If 1, what you do is funny or endearing or interesting, and 2, doesn't violate any even numbered rules. So you can actually break all of the even number, or all the odd number rules if you want, but you have to follow the even number rules. And what you do has to be funny or endearing or interesting. Otherwise, nope, still doesn't work. Rule 13, this rule must be ignored, so you have to ignore this odd-numbered Rule 13, which states that this rule must be ignored. You have to ignore it. That's the rule. And Rule 14 is think. There you go. Please, again, nod your head exactly, not again, but please, nod your head exactly 3 times to show that you have read and understood these rules, okay? So, have you read them and have you understood them? I've read them out to you now, and hopefully you've understood them. So, please nod your head right now. Okay, alright, and we're good to go. What if we all become corrupt? Then they'll have to file a complaint to you and you'll have to launch an investigation on yourselves. Chairman, you literally just broke Rule 13. What Rule 13? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And anyways, that's the whole Discord. There's announcements here. I make announcements. None of this shit matters at all. Don't worry about it. This matters maybe. This tells you when I'm streaming. I don't know why there's a notification today twice for this stream, but there's stream notifications here. And a link to the stream that is being done, which is the how to join the Charis Euphranor Discord server. Is that clear enough for you? Okay. So with that in mind, I hope that all makes sense. Thank you for joining me for this brief stream. Very, very, very short stream. Totally not 2 hours long. Where I explained very briefly how to enter into the Discord server. So now you have no excuse. If you want to come in, you are able to come into the Discord server. If you don't want to come in, that's okay too. I respect you and your time. You do what you want. Probably something else. But there it is. The Discord link is now up forever. You can share it with your friends. You can share it with anyone. That's totally cool with me. And you know, that's how you get into the Discord. Doesn't this all make perfect sense? It should all make perfect sense. It should all just make perfect sense. Man, my concurrent is not great today, huh? This stream sucks. This is terrible. But I had to do it. I had to do this stream. Alright. That's it for this whole stream. That's everything you need to know about the Charis Euphranor Discord. Alright, what do you want me to see now? What is that? It would have been correct in spirit if an additional statement is added. Assume that when person A looks at person B, they also look at the person B looks at. No, that's not necessarily the case, isn't that? So, okay. So for question 1, right? For question 1 in the doorsteps. I thought what you were saying was there needs to be an additional premise that's like a person is either unmarried or married, right? And they can't exist in any other state where they're not any of those things. But what you're saying is the stipulation should be that the person who's looking at the other person should also be looking at the person they're looking at. That's not necessarily the case. The point is that the question is just, is a married person looking at an unmarried person? If Mary is married, so Paul is married, right? And Peter's unmarried. If Mary is married, it satisfies the condition for Mary to look at Peter. So married person looking at unmarried person. Therefore, yes. If it's the other way around, if Mary is unmarried, then Paul, who is married, is looking at an unmarried Mary, which means that there is still a married person looking at an unmarried person. So Paul doesn't have to look at Peter for this to make sense. Does that make sense? So if Paul were also looking at Peter, yeah, but like Paul does not have to look at Peter. Paul just has to look at Mary, and Mary just has to look at Peter. They clarified and said that a person should either be married or unmarried. Okay, yeah, that was the thing. That is the thing that I think is fair to say for the question, is like you kind of have to assume that someone is either married or unmarried. But that's kind of like the definition of in the English language of what unmarried means. Like the word it's not even bachelor, right? It's literally unmarried. The definition of someone who is unmarried is someone who is not married, and they are defined precisely as, you know, someone without the status of being married. You are either married or you are not married. It will only fall into these two categories in just conventional language. What if they're going through divorce proceedings? Well, are they divorced yet? If not, then they are married. They are married and going through divorce proceedings, but they are married. Have they gone through the divorce proceedings? In which case, they are not married. I know it's like, I know it's fun to like poke holes in this, but it is kind of bulletproof. This is pretty bulletproof, okay? I have triple checked I've quintuple checked everything to make sure everything is completely bulletproof. Let's switch the BGM back. Small question, if they fail the first attempt, are they locked out forever? No, you're not. Oh, sweet, it's possible to brute force it. Yeah, it totally is. It's entirely possible to brute force it. I've just made it really hard. That if you brute force this, then you must be like a monkey on a typewriter. And if that's the case, if a monkey on a typewriter has entered my Discord, I'm gonna let them be. You can be there. What if their spouse comes back from the afterlife as a ghost? Well, are they married or not? That's the big question. Legally speaking, are they married? They haven't gotten remarried, so so they're unmarried. They are unmarried with the potential to marry back their once deceased spouse, but they are currently unmarried. There's no gray area for this, or there's very little gray area for this. I have made sure that the language is as unambiguous as possible. If you brute force it, all you have to do is read Purgatory. Yeah, again and again and again and again and again. Well, you have to read it once, but then, like, after that, you can just, you know, repeat the Purgatory instructions, which is why, honestly, here's the thing. My ideal, if I could do anything, if I were Doug and I actually had programming knowledge, what I would do for this Discord quiz for Purgatory is have it so that it's a different password to get out of Purgatory every time. That's what I would do. I would make a Purgatory where it would be ever shifting, maybe every day, or not every day, but maybe every time you enter, it's actually like there's actually like 50 different Purgatory channels. Here's what I would do. I would make 50 different Purgatory channels if I could. If it were like feasible to do so, I would make 50 different Purgatory channels, one with a different password, and the moment you click on a different answer and you are sent to Purgatory, you are sent to 1 out of 50 random Purgatories, and you have to read through the whole Purgatory to find where and they would be, and you know what, the password would be placed in different parts of the passage as well, and you would have to read those different, like, read it every time to get that password to get out of that Purgatory, and every time you get out of it, it's different. If I could do that, if I had the programming knowledge to do that, I would do that. Way too much work. Yes, and also I don't even know if it's possible, because the bottleneck is like when someone picks up a roll, it has to be a random roll, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how someone can pick up a random roll. And if so, it would also, you would have to have 50 Purgatory rolls for 50 different things. You would make it a roguelike? Might be an NL stream. Hey, when Hades 2 gets into 1.0, we'll become NL for a little bit. But yeah. If I could have done that, I would. Okay? What I'm trying to say is, like, don't underestimate how much effort I'll put into something meaningless. I will. Brute force speedrun Ren? Oh god. like everything. Oh my goodness. No, don't do that. Please. God, don't do that. Alright, that's the whole stream. Okay. Yep. Yep, that's it. When's the next stream? I don't know, tomorrow. I'll stream something tomorrow. I'll stream blueprints tomorrow. I'm gonna stream blueprints tomorrow because as I was writing, okay, I'll actually, I'll give you. Let's stall for more time. Let's stall for a bit more time because this stream needs to be as like unapproachable as possible as well. Like, or not unapproachable, but it needs to be 3 hours long because that will scare people off. I want the ideas. I want to scare people off. Okay, so here, let me give you the full backstory for what the fuck is going on and why I did this. So, people have been clamoring to get into for me to make a Discord and me to get into it. That's fine. I did it eventually. I made it. But I wanted so that, much like YouTube, if I could do this for YouTube, if I could do something, if I could do a quiz, if I could make like a quiz every month that is generated differently, or I'd have to write the quiz, right? If I had to make a different quiz every month. Please put the VOD link in doorstep to pin it. I will do that. Okay. If I had to do like a quiz every month, so that people who want to stay subscribed to the Charis Euphranor channel had to do that quiz in order to stay subscribed, or else they would automatically get unsubbed, I would do it. I would do that. That's how far I would go to like push. That's how far I will go to push people away from this who don't care. Because if you don't care, don't care. Don't bother. Don't waste your time being here if you don't care. Do you make your mods take the monthly quiz? I'd make them write it. If I had enough persuasive power, I would just make the mods write it. They would be like it'd be like a rotation, like every month is like a different mod, and like it's all right, it's this mod's turn to do it. It's actually part of like being mod, is you'll have to do it. Anyways, if I can make it even harder, I will, is what I'm trying to say. Or not more harder, like in the sense that it's complicated and like you can't figure it out, but more annoying. Because that's the point, I think, is I want to annoy you. This whole stream is to annoy you. This whole Discord entrance is to annoy you. But it is not to make it impossible, okay? It has to be difficult to get in the sense that you have to exert yourself and be a real human being. But it's not difficult because it's not behind a paywall. It's very important that this Discord server is not behind a paywall. It's not behind any sort of gate-kept, like, literature or, like, reading or like knowledge. There's no knowledge prerequisite. You don't have to have a certificate or a degree or papers or whatever. All you have to do is have some amount of patience and at most an hour of your time dedicated to joining the Discord server. That's all. That's all you need. Mom said it's my turn to cock block the occasional viewers. If you're an occasional viewer, that's fine. But it's like, if you want to join the Discord, you gotta work for it. That's what I think, but not in like money. I don't want you to work, like pay me money to do it. That's fucking weird. But you should like exert yourself as a human being, okay? That quiz was meant to take an hour long. No, it's not. The quiz is realistically meant to take you about like 15 minutes maybe, if you're like, yeah, about 15-20 minutes is what I expected. But an hour long if you're also watching me yap through the Discord stream while you do it, because the stream's gonna be longer, but you can skip around to the answer explanations, right? Or to skip the flavor text. You just want to like get to the question. You can do that. So I would estimate that if you were following my guide, it would take you an hour. If you were to just solve it yourself, probably like 15-20 minutes if you just read. And if you don't want to read anything at all forever, then you will be stuck in purgatory or the doorsteps, and you are not in. That's it. That's it. Sorry, I just knocked into my microphone again. The philosophy behind this is like, well, it's the 5 repeating paragraphs in purgatory, but basically I just think we give into our immediate desires too quickly and too early, that it's like, oh, I want this thing, I want it now, I'm gonna get it now, and then once I get it now, I'm gonna move on, and you're not gonna be able to like you don't give a shit if you get it quickly. Like if I just gave you the Discord link and you got in Discord, like, oh, okay, I'm in the Discord, that's it. You don't care. You don't give a fuck. You're in 10,000. You can be in 10,000 VTuber Discords. Is that 10,000 times better than being in Charis Euphranor's Discord? No, it's not. In fact, it's way worse. Arguably 10,000 times worse. Okay, like what makes it worthwhile isn't the quantity, or isn't like anything else other than the fact that you have exerted your own personal agency and chosen to do it. Okay, and if you have done so, you would have gotten in to the Discord. It's very simple. It's very simple. No excuses. Okay, I'm tired. That repeating monologue kind of took me out, but I was like, I'm gonna fucking read through the whole thing. Okay. Here is my thinking. My thinking now is that I'm gonna fix any bugs that pop up. So tell me if you see any bugs. But otherwise, like, you know, that should just be it. I have tirelessly tested this, and I guess I have to. I'll have to thank the mod team and some people in the Discord, not mods, that were just viewers or people that helped me test this server as well yesterday. I did that and it was really good. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ping me on the Discord and I'll be annoyed. That's what'll happen. Took me 5 minutes, but to be fair, I'm a philosophy undergrad. Yeah, so like if you are well versed in logic, then it shouldn't take very long. 5 questions should take you 5 minutes. Like it's, and you should not be unsure at all. You should also be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, next question, right? I brute forced and took at least 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, well, you are part of the... I'm not gonna say it. You're part of the other sample size I need to sort of form a cohesive understanding of my audience. Okay. All right, yeah, that's everything. That's it. I'm gonna stream blueprints tomorrow because I just put a blueprints puzzle in this thing. Oh yeah, I know. Sorry, I remember now. I was gonna tell you maybe like what I was doing when I was writing. I was writing this stuff for about a month, and throughout this, I was just kind of thinking like, okay, this needs to be multiple choice. It needs to be the top things in my mind where it needs to be multiple choice. It needs to be impossible to fail. Like it's impossible to fail this quiz. It's not something you fail because you can just keep doing this infinitely. You can't fail. It needs to be multiple choice. And it needs to be accessible in most aspects, including not being paywalled. Now I've done a live stream explaining and reading it as well. So, you know, if you have trouble reading because of dyslexia or whatever, because I've been told that some of my viewers have dyslexia. Okay, that's fine. I'm reading it out for you, out loud. Okay? I don't know what else I could do for that, other than that, okay? Not factoring the Gokus in the audience and coming up with the audience. Why would they want to be in the Discord server if you're Goku? Why would Goku want to be in my Discord server? Anyways, but as I was writing I was also like, okay, I want the flavor to work. Because originally, the way it started was I looked at a bunch of logic puzzles, and I picked out a few that I thought were really good, and I sorted them in ascending difficulty. I picked 5 questions, sorted them in ascending difficulty, then I started to think about the flavor of the text. I started to think, okay, like, how do I immerse you in, like, the Library of Alexandria? How is this supposed to look like in your mindscape? How is it supposed to, like, how are you supposed to see this? Because if I just gave you 5 logic questions, you could do that too, but it's not as interesting as if you also were put into a setting that was interesting, right? So, like, the first question, I didn't do that because I wanted Vsauce to explain it. But everything onwards, they're all variations of the Knights and Knaves puzzles or the treasure chest puzzles, which are, you know, a slight variation of that too. And one of them was like a birthday cake question, which is also a variation of that variation. All this to say, they were all reflavored to fit the purposes of this Discord channel. And I spent a good amount of time reflavoring everything and writing all the questions. But more importantly, not just rewriting the questions, but rewriting the context in which you would engage with these questions in a way that doesn't feel too, like, contrived. Because it can feel a little contrived that's like, oh, it's just 5 questions, right? But I tried to, you know, do the thing with the, let me find it again. I try to do the thing where, okay, you're at the doorsteps now, and then, okay, you've been put into a dream. Parrot puts you into a dream, right? You're now, like, in this dream-like state, and you see a projection in front of you that's 3 people you talk to, and then, oh, I need to talk to a philosopher, and then the philosopher gives you instructions for navigating this library in your dream. You go into it, which is why things are kind of blurry and shifting, and then there's a bunch of boxes in a room, and you have to find which box is the one with the key in it. Okay, you found the key. Now the key actually doesn't fit into any lock, but it itself is a question because you can look on the key and realize it's an inscription for a logic puzzle. You solve that. You push a button on, like, a keypad, and you fall through a hole. And that fall is very important, by the way. That fall has some level of philosophical significance that I don't expect anyone to understand, but that's fine. You don't have to. And as you are falling, it's sort of like an immediate confrontation. It's both a thematic link to the idea that, you know, the whole falling when you're in a dream. Like when you're in a dream, you go, oh, like you're falling through, or your body does the thing where it tricks you into thinking you're falling, and you like, you know, that happens, right? When you're dreaming, or when you're about to fall asleep, or etc., or when you're sleeping. But that also has like an interesting sort of philosophical subtext that you can read into as well. I confront you immediately with an existential anxiety and dread that is associated with that fall, and human finitude and mortality as well. And as that comes to be, at the end I confront you with the hardest question, which it wasn't even that hard, but it was the quote-unquote hardest question, with the 5 holes, speaking one truth and one lie each. And purgatory is supposed to exist there as an act of punishment for anyone who was impatient enough to just randomly click through stuff and not actually pay attention or want to brute force it. If you do that, you are stuck in purgatory. Not for long, not forever, you can get out of it, but you are punished in purgatory by having to read more than you would ever otherwise. Like if you wanted to just skip everything and read and brute force everything, you'd go into purgatory, and the only way to get out of purgatory is to read. The only way to do that is to read, and if you can't do that, you're stuck there. But if you can read, you can get out of there easy peasy, and are now punished for not wanting to read carefully by having to read more. That's the idea. It's a reference to Alice in Wonderland? Yeah, sure, yeah, yep. Yeah, it can if you want it to be, I guess. And it was really important that I didn't just put the instructions for how to get out of purgatory right at the end, because then you would just see the instructions right at the end. You don't have to read the rest, because that's a fucking bullshit thing that Discord does as well, where it starts you at the end of the channel, not the beginning. Like, I understand why. It makes sense to me. For some channels, like general channels, you want to just start at the end, right? Start at the bottom. But for like information channels, I feel like there should be an option to put you at the top by default. Anyways, because of that, I couldn't put the instructions at the end. I had to put them somewhere in the middle. I had to kind of sandwich it, but with what, right? Like, that was me. And how do I do it in a way that makes sense? Where it's not just, okay, here's the instructions. Now I'm going to yap for 30 minutes or like for 5 paragraphs because, or like for no reason other than to like, and it's just lorem ipsum. If it's lorem ipsum, you can just go, oh, it's lorem ipsum, and ignore it, right? It had to be legitimate text that seemed like it meant something. So what I did was I took the monologue from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe's skip ending, which is my favorite ending in the whole game, and I adapted that monologue, mostly adapted it. I just changed like 1 or 2 keywords and fit it into this context. I wrote around that context, and I wrote it so that it made sense why in purgatory I would be talking to nobody, right? Like, the idea is I'm talking to you, and if you're a real person, just get out of here. If you're not a real person, then I'm talking to nobody, and then I just go on and on and on and on and on. And like, that took, I hope you can appreciate how unintuitive that is to conjure up. It's super intuitive now that I'm explaining to you what my thought process is. But at the time when I was thinking this, as I was writing this like a month ago, it was very unintuitive. Like, I wasn't sure, okay, how am I gonna do purgatory? How do I make it so that the answer is in the middle, but it's not jarring? It's not like you're reading a line of like text and all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, here's how you get out of it. You do this, right? Like, I didn't want to do that. It needed to make sense. It needed to follow. It needed to be coherent. And that was a little difficult. But I got it. I did everything. Yep. Hypnic jerks are actually a reflective muscle twitch due to a decrease in blood pressure, but you're falling or whatever. Yeah, but no, that's what it is. You're giving me the biological answer, but I'm not asking you a biological question. I'm asking you a philosophical one. Not really. I'm asking you like a vaguely sort of like maybe just like a creative writing one. Reflexive? I know what you meant. I know. Anyways, that's the whole thing. You have no excuse. Go into the Discord now. Go into the, if you are watching this stream, it must be because you wanted to be in the Discord. I have shown you how to get into it. You can get into it now. Welcome to the Discord. Welcome, welcome. I don't really know what they do in it, because I don't really actually participate in the Discord that very much. This is the first time I've actually put effort into something on the Discord, so... I don't know, people do community events and hangouts, so you could just do that if you want. You don't have to. I don't really show up. It's not like I care, really, about that. Before we leave, can we watch Mads Mikkelsen saying, "Shit, my ass is fat, too fat"? No, we can't. No. No requests for this stream. Maybe next stream. That's all. Thank you for watching this 2-hour and 40-minute stream. It's supposed to be that long, maybe even longer. You were supposed to suffer through the amount of time it would take to at least indicate some sort of, you know, willingness to participate with your soul. All right? Thank you, and goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow for blueprints or something if you're, you know, if you're watching this live. Otherwise, just ignore that I said that. I love suffering. It's my favorite thing. You would love philosophy. You would love having a philosophy degree in this day and age, in this fucking economy and job market. Yes, you're correct. You're all the biggest losers. All right, get out of here.